Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the season finale of Game of Thrones, The Winds of Winter. And I gotta tell you, I didn't think they'd be able to do better on the Battle of the Bastards, but this is my favorite episode of season 6, and season 6 is my favorite episode overall. Because it did an amazing thing of taking all the characters, kind of condensing what would usually be kind of drawn out and moving things forward in ways that are setting up for the end of the show. And that is really done very well here in this season finale. And I would think that this is probably my favorite season finale because not just of Game of Thrones, but overall because of how well it wraps up all the conflicts that have been going throughout the season and setting up where the next season and seasons are going to be going. So, the first part of the finale kind of centers on King's Landing and the trial of Loras and Cersei. And the beginning of it kind of like shows everybody preparing, like Cersei, Tommen, High Sparrow, Marjorie, kind of getting ready, doing their due. And you can hear the music in the background, and it sets the mood that this is momentous, but something else is going on. It's kind of got that weird undercurrent that you're like, something's amiss. So we also get to see in the Sept of Baelor, all these lords and everything, lords and ladies and nobles are getting ready for the trial, get the Faith Militant in there, get the septums and everything, and we also get to see like Pycelle and Qyburn and all those kind of people kind of getting their own thing. Pycelle being an asshole and not paying a prostitute the money she's owed and saying, oh, I'll get to it later. And as he's about to leave, a child comes up and says something to him, and then we get to keep going on. And then we get to Loras' trial, and he confesses to everything about all this stuff to the High Sparrow and accepts any punishment that the gods denying and were to put on him. And he's like, well, he does his language of what he does, and even though he's like the High Sparrow, I think that he still wants power, and this is a way to get power. And you could see it, he's like talking about like the mercies of the gods and the punishments, and then Loras kneels to him and renounces all his claims to Highgarden and the Tyrell name, and says that he will serve and never marry, never have children and all that, and he's effectively taking out a noble house of Westeros. That's the power that he's shown. Like, you disagree with me, I could pretty much get you in a position and take after your house. Because Loras would be the one to carry on the name and carry on children and everything, so it's effectively done. And he also devotes himself to actually serving the Faith Militant. They cut the symbol in his head, and as they're doing that, his father's like, stop, you're mutilating him, you're hurting him. And Marjorie's kind of pissed off too, because afterward, she goes up to him and says, you said you weren't going to mutilate him. He's like, no, I said that he'd be free to go. And there he goes. He's going to be alright. And the Faith Militant, Lancel comes up and says that, Cersei's not here. The letter hasn't left the Red Keep or anything. And Marjorie's like, something isn't right. She knows the consequences of not being here. That means she does not intend to get through to those consequences. And it's cool to kind of see her lose her cool because we've been kind of wondering if she has been in the right frame of mind or if she's actually gone over to the Sparrow. And this shows that she knows what she's doing. She's been like plotting with the Sparrow to pretty much remove Cersei. But yet, plotting with the Sparrow is dangerous because he is taking his own power and everything and doing what he wants. And everybody's like, oh no, we can mold him when he's been molding everybody else. And then the Sparrow sends Lancel to go and get Cersei and all that. And as they're going out, they see this child kind of doing stuff. And then Lancel goes and follows him and tells him, go ahead, go to the Red Keep and blah, blah, blah. And then we see that the child has led Pycelle to Qyburn Droom. And this is where it starts to get interesting. Because now we start to see what those kind of undercurrents are doing, what kind of Cersei was doing, and it's very Godfather-like. This is very Michael Corleone in what's going on and what's being executed. And Pycelle and Qyburn kind of talk, he's like, I'm sorry about this, I kind of really do respect you. And then all the other kids come out and kill him. As everything's going on, he's stabbed and everything, taking out another piece of the board because Pycelle's been a thorn in pretty much everybody's side, doing his own thing for his own benefits. And you can see that throughout the series because he's been around since Ares. And he survived that. He's like, I can survive pretty much anything. And as that's going on, Lancel's following this kid under the tunnel and kind of underneath the set. And it's really like, this is a street urchin. This kid knows these tunnels back and forward. He knows where it's going. You don't. So he's going in like, I can take care of a child. And then, of course, the kid wounds him in a way that he can't walk. And then it really starts getting interesting because then it starts flashing to Margaery, and she's really nervous and wants people to get out of the set. But of course, the High Sparrow doesn't allow that, and his faith militant keep everyone inside. That's when Lancel kind of sees the barrels, and we put it together. Qyburn was able to find the wildfire stash that King Aerys had hidden under King's Landing. You can see all this wildfire. And then Lancel's able to see in the distance 3 candles. Is like, what's going on with that? And he's crawling towards it, and you see that his candle's getting ready to set off the wildfire. And as this is going on, we're also getting flashes of Cersei and Tommen, and Tommen's like, alright, I'm ready to go to the trial now. But then a mountain comes and stops him from leaving. It's like, this is Cersei's plan. She's gotten everyone into one place. Let's take them all out. And even though Lancel tries to crawl there and pretty much gets there, blows up, completely decimates the set, and effectively takes out anyone who can try and take out Cersei or stop her. She's taken care of all of her enemies. It's also amazing CGI and everything that's done because it's completely devastation. And this is a hard thing to do because wildfire is like Greek fire. It is very hard to put out. So to attempt to do this, you have to be sure that it's one, that'll work, and 2, that it's in an area that you don't mind being taken down by fire. Because you see everything going everywhere, collateral damage and everything. Cersei's smiling at it. Tommen's like, holy shit. Everybody's dead. My wife is dead. It's crazy. And it's just amazing how well executed it is. And he's just like, oh my god, and the mountain leaves. And then we get to see that Cersei is just as ruthless as like Michael Corleone. Now granted, she's got a harder edge than him, but she's got the scepter that did the shame thing and telling her, I do things that feel good. Confesses about all the stuff that she's done, killing Robert, protecting her children, lying with Jaime and everything. And she's like, I told you that my face would be the last thing you'd see. And she's like, I'm ready to meet the gods. And she's like, you're not going to die today. It's like, Cersei will draw out all this kind of stuff because that is the person she is. If you do a wrong to her, she is going to do it back to you tenfold and in a way to make sure that you cannot do it again. And see, you're like, oh, but what about Bran? That was Jaime doing it. And trust me, Cersei might think that she can do it 10 times to people, but the thing is she's usually not as good as her execution as she thinks she would be. Because she usually leaves things that are hanging. Starks that are alive. Tyrells that are alive. Other people that do not like her that are alive. Now granted, she is able to do this kind of nuke option and pretty much one-shot the Sparrow and everybody that can screw with her. And her main objective was that, take out the High Sparrow, take out Queen Margaery, because Margaery was a threat to her connection to Tommen. And that was kind of amazing, and she's taking the scepter down because she's fucked with her and she's going to do it. So, she gets Clegane in there, he takes off his helmet, we see kind of how messed up he is, but we know that he'll just do what he's ordered. He's not going to be the mountain that we know, but he will torture this scepter till her dying days. And then we go to see Tommen, and running through his head, I'm thinking that he's thinking his mother will never let him go. She'll always try and protect him from everything, and that'll mean that anybody that tries to get close to him will pretty much be killed. And then we see him take off his crown, and which it was stupid that she left him alone. and he walked out the window. And it's like, we knew this was going to be happening. Tommen was an okay character. He was stupid, but we knew this was going to happen. He wasn't strong enough to have all this piled up on him. And it's sad for him because he tried to do the best. And it's a little bit sad for Cersei because she did everything that she could to protect her children, and they've all died. So it's going to be interesting to see where her character is going to be now that all of her children are dead. So then we go and we see Walder Frey and Jaime. They're celebrating that they have broken the siege of Riverrun. Walder Frey's, of course, gloating and everything, saying that this is our words. The Freys and the Lannisters send their regards. Like, he had as much input as the Lannisters, and it's just like, jeez. And then we get to see Jaime and Bronn talking, and Bronn's like, damn it, you get all the women to look. And then Jaime's like, come over, ladies. Here's Bronn of the Blackwater. He's like, what if I don't want to do it? Okay. And then he just goes off with them. He's a great character, and I love seeing interaction with them. It's an interesting duo to see the difference between Tyrion and Bronn and Jaime and Bronn. And we get to see like foreshadowings and stuff like that for what's coming on. And we get to see Walder and Jaime, they're talking. He's like, it's great. Blackfish was this legendary warrior cut down by foot soldiers and everything. And Jaime's like, you've never done any fighting. He's like, well, the objective of fighting is to win. Guess what? I've won. The Tullys always mock me. The Starks always mocked me. They've held that for 1,000 years. And guess what? It's now mine. But then he's like, you know what? Riverrun belonged to the Tullys. And guess what? We gave it to you. And if we have to come up here every time you lose something, why the hell do we need you? And Frey's like, oh shit. He's good to be used as a scapegoat by those in power. He thinks that it's like, you guys can mock me, I'll get mine. And it's like, you do realize that it was the Lannisters that mainly took out the Starks and the Tullys and all that stuff. And you were just used as the implement to get them in a place to do it. Frey still thinks that he's got this giant ego, that he is greater than he is. He's fathered all these kids. He's this great lord, but he really doesn't know what he's doing. He just wants to be petty and control things. That happens a lot in this show. So, it's really kind of cool, because seeing that and seeing kind of where it's going nicely sets up kind of what's going to be happening in the episode to come, and like what's coming in the episode. And then we get to see Cersei and Qyburn, and they're looking at Tommen's body, and she's shaking. And Qyburn's like, well, what do you want us to do with the funeral? I mean, Sep's gone because we blew that up. And we could do it in the throne room. And she's like, no, he should be buried with his family and everything. Burn him and bury his ashes at the Sept and all that. And it's like, you can really see her thinking about what's going on, because the prophecy keeps coming up, because she had heard a prophecy that her 3 children would die and that she would be killed by a little brother. Now, granted, that'll be interesting to see who does it, if it's Tyrion, or maybe if it's Jaime, because Jaime is a younger brother to her, because they're twins. She arrived first, he arrived second. So we'll have to see how she's going to be going forward, and what's going to be happening. And it was really kind of brutal, because it's hard to see someone lose their kids. And granted, Cersei has pretty much lost her children to their own devices and her own plotting and machinations. But it's really going to hit her. And taking that away will just pretty much make her a more ruthless character, who won't think things through and just kill indiscriminately, possibly. So then we get to Sam and Gilly, and they arrive in Old Town, and it's really kind of cool. We see this great city, and he's like going up to the, I would say, the Maester secretary kind of dude, and like, all right, here, I'm supposed to be the new Maester of Castle Black from Lord Commander Snow. And like, Mormont and Aemon are supposed to be the people in charge. And it's like, well, they both died. It's like, oh, this is regular. It's like, things move fast, man. Real fast. You can't keep up. Come on, come on. And then he's like, alright, we'll take you to the Archmaester and all that, who we didn't see in this episode, but we got to see a nice cool shot because Sam's permitted to go in the library, but not Jilly and her baby. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out because Jilly is not going to take that, neither is Sam, but seeing all those books, all that knowledge, and seeing the things that let light into the place, and that's the thing that we've been seeing throughout the opening sequences of the episodes and the title of Game of Thrones was kind of a cool thing. And it was really kind of interesting to see how much knowledge is in this citadel for the Maesters. It's like, whoa. Hopefully Sam can find some stuff that'll help them against the White Walkers. Oh, God. Then we get to see this White Raven flying into Winterfell. Which, of course, that's when the Citadel sends out these ravens to show that winter is coming. And we do get a little nod to that later on, because then we first focus mainly on Jon, Melisandre, and Davos. We get the attention to what I knew was going to happen come up. Davos comes in because Jon and Melisandre, they're talking back. They're kind of relating their Jon's childhood, like how he had feasts here, how he'd sit down there and all that. And it's like, it's kind of sad for him. Melisandre's like, could have been worse. And like, yep. And Davos is like, tell him what you did. Like, well, we burnt her at the stake. And he's like, livid. He's like, that girl was like my own daughter. I treated her like my daughter. She was good, she was kind, and you murdered her. And talking about how any lord that would require that is evil. And it's like, I'm glad you see Davos that emotional. The actor did a great job conveying the hurt he felt. Because Shireen just wasn't this princess. She was a good girl who would have been a great leader, and they burned her for no reason. It broke that army. And of course, Melisandre's like, it wasn't just me. Stannis and his wife allowed it and did it as well. He's like, Jon, let me leave to execute her. And Jon's like, alright, ride south. You ever come back here, I'll hang you. They're like, but you'll need me for the coming storm. It's like, yeah, but, well, there's other red priests and priestesses out there. And what you did was wrong. And I'm glad that Jon stood to that conviction. And then Davos at the end came up and said, if you ever come up here again, I will execute you myself. I'm like, that's Davos. That's why I like him as a character. He and Jon too, sticking to their characters, sticking to who they are, being like, if there's something wrong, they will address it. And they will do what they need to do. And it was just, it was so good to see these kind of things start wrapping up and being brought to what needed to be done. Oh my God. It was great. Now we get to see Jon kind of looking out, seeing what's going on, seeing her right away, and then Sansa comes up. And we have a nice talk with them, because Jon's like, I'm preparing mother and father's room for you because you're the lady here. And she's like, well, you have just as much claim to it as I do. It's like, well, I'm not a Stark. She's like, well, you are to me. And I like it, but I don't. I want to believe that she's sincerely starting to change her attitude towards Jon and not thinking of him as a bastard and a half-brother and all this stuff, that they need to work together. Because together they could do a lot of good stuff. And she even brings that up. She apologizes for not telling him about the van, about Baelish. And he even asks her if she really trusts Baelish. And he's like, no, I don't. And which is smart, because Baelish only goes for himself. And she should have told him about Baelish selling, doing all that kind of stuff, kind of all of the things that he's done, selling her to Bolton, and then coming and saying, you know what, I'll help you take Winterfell back and all that. It's like, it would have been better for Jon to know that, because then he could make better plans. But they kind of had a nice moment, because they come together and Jon's like, I forgive you, but we need to trust each other. We've got a lot of enemies around us. We can't afford to fight amongst ourselves or have infighting or bickering. And it's great, because that's what needs to happen. Starks are stronger together. We've seen that. When Starks are doing what they need to do for the betterment of their people and who they are, they kind of gel better. When they're like on their own, they're easier to take out. It's kind of like a pack of direwolves. One by itself is easier to take out than if they group together and do tactics. And that's cool to kind of see. And then they're talking about like, winter's come, you get that little cheap father's words and all that. It's like, alright, you always promised. And then we switch from the north to the south. We get to Dorne, and it's like, hey, we're wondering if we're going to be going here. And we finally are starting to kind of see where Dorne is fitting into this picture and why it's been introduced. Because we see the Sand Snakes talking with Olenna Tyrell, who's like, I have no future. Cersei took the future from me. Killed my whole family pretty much. It's just irksome to her. She's like, I don't want survival. Because the Sand Snake is talking to her and is like, you know what? I can give you survival. She's like, I don't want that. And then I can give you your heart's desire. Vengeance. Justice. And it's like, ooh, kind of getting into it because Olenna's not taking any, she never took shit before. But she's like, why am I here? Tell me what's going on. And then she's like, alright, I can give you vengeance. And then that's when Varys walks in and says, fire and blood. It's like, now we see how this is going. It's gotten into a prime position for an alliance. For Dany to have her landing in Dorne. Because if you look at a map that they made, Dorne and Highgarden, where the Tyrells are pretty close together. So if you get those two, you can kind of sweep around to King's Landing. They won't even know you're there. So that's perfect because they can send ships, troops, already kind of paved the way. If you've got the south of King's Landing, you've got pretty good chunk to go. And if Cersei's like, I want to take out that dude in the north who's going to be doing stuff, we got to be doing this. And it's like two forces could be doing there at once, and it's like, ooh, she doesn't know about this one coming from the south. So we'll have to see kind of how that goes. I'm really excited to see how that's going to work. So then we get to see Dany and Arya, and she's talking about what she's got to be doing to pretty much invade Westeros. So she's going to be taking most of the forces, but she's going to leave Arya there with the Second Sons to hold Meereen until they've elected their people. And of course she explains that I can't bring a lover to Westeros. Granted, kings can do it, but I've got to have marriage presentable on the table. And he's like, fuck it. I love you. Let me come with you. And she's like, I can't. It's too important. And he's like, yeah, Tyrion, the dwarf told you to do this. And it's like, she needs to do what she needs to do to get the Iron Throne. To be able to make political alliances. And Arya would be the best person to stay at Meereen and make sure that it goes the way Dany wants. Because he loves her and will do anything to do the wishes that she so chooses. And of course it kind of hurts her, but she's like, you gotta do this. And of course we're leaving from the Bay of Dragons, renaming Slaver's Bay, and he's like wondering if he'll ever find another woman besides her, but it's like, well, it's hard to follow up the Mother of Dragons. You probably will, but you've dismissed another person that you loved. But then again, who knows where it's going to be going later on. They could cross paths later, if either of them survives. Because this is Game of Thrones. Life is not guaranteed. So, they say pretty much farewell. Get through that, and then she walks out into the place that she's pretty much held her court and talks with Tyrion. Tyrion's trying to say, you know, you did the right thing. You did a sacrificial thing to give up someone you love, and that makes a good leader. And she's like, I don't care about that. That's not really consoling me, man. You're not doing a good job at this. And he's like, yeah, I kind of suck at this. And it was just good to see their interaction, seeing them kind of gel together, because Dany, I don't think, would be the best leader. She's a good conqueror. Tyrion is a good manager, but wouldn't really like to conquer people. He can do the day-to-day activities. She's the one that can get shit done militarily. You know what I mean? It's a good complementary partnership, symbiosis, because he can get the shit done diplomacy-wise, and she could get the fighting shit done like nobody's business. because her thing of diplomacy is my way or dragon's fire. And most people are like, okay, Tyrion is better at doing that because doing that too much promotes rebellion. It's like, I would rather die on my feet than in chains, because dragon fire and dragons and an army of people are chains, even though you're called the breaker of chains. We'll have to see how she's able to temper herself out. Because even watching stuff with like the directors and everything are like, well, Dany's still got a ruthlessness to her. It's part of the Targaryen line. And even the good ones have this ruthlessness. It's like, yeah, that's why they need good advisors to advise them to do better things, challenge them. And it was really kind of cool because he's talking about everything that's going on and how he has never really been able to believe in anything. And that he was able to believe in her for what she's been doing. And he's like, I'd offer you my sword, but all I've got is my counsel. And she's like, your counsel is what I need. So he kneels to her and everything. And she says that she's made something for him. And she hopes it's right. And it's a symbol for the hand of the king. Well, in this case, she asks him to be the hand of the queen. And he accepts it and everything. It's like, yes, everything is coalescing, coming together. And then, at this point, you're thinking, okay, where's this episode going to end? And then we get what I'm going to term the places that could have been ended for this episode, or any episode, and it just kept going, and you're like, this is cool. This is cool. And it's like, yes. Wrapping up, setting up, doing it. Then we get to see Walder Frey. And he's just sitting in his hall being like, where are my sons? Where's all this? Blah, 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 blah. Asking the serving woman that's serving him his food and everything. And she's like, well, they're here and everything. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, you've been eating them. And then he's like in horrors looking into and seeing that he's been eating people in this pie. And the serving girl's talking about, it was kind of hard to carve them both up. And see, this fits into the story that Bran told about the cook that cooked people and everything and was turned into a rat. Comes back full circle. And then she rips off her face and it's Arya. And it's like, holy shit, she's working on her list. She has become an assassin. She's going to be doing shit. This is how she's going to be going. Hopefully she like hooks up with the other Starks and everything. But this was just like, oh my god, vengeance, actual justice. The tables being turned. The Starks were screwed the first time. The Freys and Lannisters are coming for theirs. And she's like, I want you to see a Stark smiling down on you as the last thing you see as you die. And then cuts his throat. And it's just amazing. Because, I mean, it's different than the books. But it was so great and so amazing. Now it's like, will she go after other people on her list? How is she going to go after with other people on her list? How did she get the mask stuff? Did Jaqen H'ghar give this to her? Is she kind of a faceless man that can do whatever she wants? It's like really interesting stuff. And it's like, she's got the skills now. You might be thinking, it has gone slow. This series is about slowly building the points that are amazing and actually getting payoff. This was payoff. This is kind of the first steps for like the Batman Ninja Arya kind of thing. She has gotten her training. She now has to utilize it. How is she going to utilize it? That's the key. Where's she going to go? She's going to go after Cersei. She's going to go after the Mountain. Will she go after Sandor Clegane? Is he still on her list? That's the kind of stuff that we want to know. That's the kind of stuff that excites me. We don't know what's going to be happening, but we've got ideas, and we kind of see kind of where this is going. She's starting to get on that list, kind of use her skills in ways that are actively going to change Westeros. Then we get to see Sansa and Baelish at the Weirwood, and Baelish asks her if she's praying and everything. Like, I'm past that now, and Baelish is doing his thing, and he's like, you know what? I only act on something if it'll bring this picture in my mind to fruition. I only act if I can say yes to it. Me on the Iron Throne with you at my side. And he like leans in to try and kiss her, and he's like, that's a pretty picture. And then he just walks off, and he's still trying to plant seeds of doubt in her head about everybody following Jon instead of her and doing all this kind of stuff. And it's like, you gotta realize, Baelish, you burned her. You burned her bad. She's never gonna trust you again. You had probably one shot at getting her into a place where she would have said yes. You completely destroyed that scenario. You got nothing. So it was kind of cool to see that, and kind of see that Arya's kind of understanding what's going on. And then we get to see Benjen, Bran, and Mira, and Benjen's like, I'd go south with you, but I can't, because there's magic in the wall. I can't pass because I'm kind of dead, and I'll do up here what I can. And there's this nice moment of, like, alright, do what you can, Benjen. Nice seeing you. Go on your way. And this is interesting because it'll be, we don't know how the Walkers are going to get, the White Walkers are going to get south. Two kind of theories. I don't know if the mark that the Night's King put on Bran will allow them to go through if he passes south, or if they have found the legendary horn that will allow them to destroy the wall. We'll have to see. I'm probably going to go with the horn because, let's face it, if you've got the chance to pretty much make a CGI of the destruction of the wall, the Night's Watch, you're most likely going to do it. Now, granted, it's a spectacle, but it also fits in like a total destruction kind of way. Because otherwise, I don't know how the White Walkers would be able to get through unless they go into the books and use like giant spiders to climb the wall. And, well, that would actually be freaky too. So they've got a lot of options. I'd prefer wall breakage, but giant spider riding could also be in effect. So, they're talking about what they're going to be doing, and Bran's about to touch the rear wood, kind of get more information, and Mira's like, you sure you can do this? He's like, well, I'm the Three-Eyed Raven now. I've got to be ready to do this. Then, we get back to the Tower of Joy. It's amazing. This is what we've been waiting for. This is the information that needs to be conveyed. This is the important stuff. This changes drastically things that could affect the politics of Westeros. So, they go in, and we see Lyanna in her bed, bloodied and everything, and she's happy to see Ned, but she's afraid because she's dying. He's like crying to people to get water and stuff like that. He's like, you're not going to die and all that. And it was really kind of heartbreaking because it was cool to see Ned again and to see Lyanna again. And they're just having this nice brother and sister moment. And it's really poignant because you would think, it's really poignant because Starks, it shows what Starks are made of. Because they're family. Granted, that's more of a Tully kind of thing, but they will do stuff for their family. They will do the last inch and mile that's needed. And this is important because Ned has always been thought of as an honorable person, and it has been completely out of character to say that Ned would father a bastard. Because everything up until every backstory that we've had from him has been that he has done what he is considered honorable. And him cheating on his wife is completely out of character and kind of strange. So we get the answer to that. Because then the person, the kind of serving maid, or midwife, or whatever, brings the baby over. And Lyanna wants Ned to promise her. And we don't get all of what she says, but whispers his name. We don't get his name. But after that we get, if Robert finds out, he will kill him. You have to protect him. Promise me that. That means that that baby is a Targaryen. Because Robert Baratheon would only kill that kid if it's a Targaryen. Because I think Lyanna would overreact a little bit, but I don't think so. Because it would go into kind of two categories of the baby is the child of the woman I love, but also the child of the family that I hate. And it would probably win out that he would kill the child because his hate would be stronger than his love. And That's amazing. And Ned makes the promise, and then we see the baby, and then it goes to Jon, showing that this is Jon Snow. This is the baby he brought back to the North, calling him his bastard. And that's important. That shows that Jon has a direct claim on the Iron Throne. Another Targaryen, another head. So we've got Dany, and we've got Jon Snow, or Jon Targaryen at this moment, because we don't know his full name. That'll come back around because Howland Reed knows who his parentage is. So at some point, that'll come into effect and probably tell us his true name. But that'll be cool when that happens. But then it cuts to Jon Snow in the present day. And we get this really cool scene. This is awesome. This is the echoing of when Robb was declared king of the North. And we see kind of all these people talking about, like, we don't want to work with wildlings and all this shit. And it's like, everybody banded together and won that battle. Your true allies are found on the battlefield. That's when it's tested. And everybody's kind of like, whatever. And Baelish is watching, and then we get Lady Mormont being a badass and being a really great character. Now, I hope that this actress gets an award or something, because she has done very well for her age and also conveying this character. I mean, being able to act alongside these actors of high caliber and everything, and being in this realm, she just brings it. She calls on everyone saying, you did not answer the call. The Mormonts remember the North. The North remembers. And we only know of one king in the North. And she doesn't care if he doesn't have the Stark name. Doesn't care because he's got Stark blood in him. And from this day until his last, he is my king. I was like, ah! And that gets everybody else. Manderly speaks up, who's an important character from the book. Glover, all that. And Glover's like, I don't know if you can forgive me. And Jon's like, there's nothing to forgive. And that shows why he's a great leader. He can forgive things that need to be forgiven, but he takes out things that needs to be taken out. Like the people that murdered him at the Night's Watch, you need to put that shit on lockdown and taken out right then. This, it's understandable because the Boltons helped you, all that kind of stuff. Very key to see. All these people shouting, the king in the North, the king in the North. Sansa's smiling. We get a new king in the North, this time in Winterfell. It's amazing because this is building up to what Jon can become. Possibly be the one to sit the Iron Throne. Because you can see that he is more of a fusion of like Tyrion and Dany, where he's got the combat prowess, but he's also got the political mind to do diplomacy where it's needed. And I wouldn't mind either one. But the thing is, this is important because they are the two heads of the dragon now. We need a third. There are theories out there of who the third could be. The popular theory that I like is that Tyrion is possibly the third head, and that he is not Tywin's son, but that Aerys had relations with Tywin's wife, and that he is Targaryen. And I would think that would fit in better, especially with how he reacted to the dragons, how he's always wanted a dragon, wanted to see dragons. And it works, because otherwise, I don't know what other character could fit within the Targaryen line that we've seen backstory-wise at this point. So, that's pretty cool. And it was just amazing to kind of see everybody get together. Sansa kind of smiled, but then she looks at Baelish, and she's got a kind of strange look. I don't know if she's agreeing with Baelish, seeing that everybody's kind of going with Jon, or like, fuck that, I'm with my brother. And it's interesting to kind of see that. So then, we get to see Jaime and Bronn come back to King's Landing, see the devastation of the Sept. And we get something big. We get to see Cersei and her guards come in. And Jaime comes in at that point, kind of standing in the background. And then Qyburne's got the badge of the hand of the Queen, because Cersei is now crowned Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. And it's just, what is she going to do? She's going to be horrible. She's going to be just probably as bad as the Mad King. What the fuck is she going to do? And Jaime's like, I don't know you anymore. What's going on? It'll be interesting to see. We could possibly have another point in our hands where Jaime might have to kill her. as another King Slayer, this time a Queen Slayer. But that fits back into my prophecy that I'm talking about, that it's either Tyrion that's going to kill her or Jaime, because it said little brother, and he's still technically a little brother. So, the final shot we get is the giant fleet of Dany's that is arrayed, and showing going off. We get to see Theon, Yara, we get to see the Unsullied, the Dothraki, the dragons and everything. And somehow Varys was able to get there fast enough to be on Dany's ship. And this is important because this is showing that we're getting into the endgame. We have moved past waiting. We have moved past Dany sitting in a place that's out of nowhere, getting no closer to the Iron Throne. We are moving towards Westeros. We are moving towards a conflict that will shake the Seven Kingdoms and also bring about the war with the White Walkers, because they're coming at the same time. And it's just, I love this episode and all the stuff that's inside of it. I know it's weird how I do my reviews with this now because I've had to change it up because there's so much in these episodes. I have to watch them twice. I have to take the notes because it's so packed and so dense, and you have the backstory and everything. It's just amazing. And it is going to be hard for them to make other episodes for me to call my favorite, because this, coupled with everything that's gone on in this season, has been my favorite. So, those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.